Hey there, Miss Heather from the Counseling Office with part two of the How to Do University Research Right seminar summary. So we just finished a section helping you understand how to structure your research sessions, being driven by a question and recording information you find answering that question, and also paying attention to the values. Uh, Again, starting with who are you, that motto thing, and how you can find those values reflected in different components of your university experience. Let's move on to university fit. Um, a Venn diagram might be one way that you kind of can visualize fit. Set A, set B, and set C have elements in them, and there are elements of overlap. You can see here, this is where A and C overlap. This is where A and B overlap. This is where B and C overlap. This is the sweet spot where they all come together and share these elements in common. You may have other creative ways to visualize fit in terms of, let's say, overlap or not. Here's how I visualize overlap in the university fit process. There's you, there's your family, and the affordability fit, and then there's the programmatic fit to colleges. So you can see here that there might be overlap between your values and affordability and your family's values. You and the college might have a lot of have fit, but not with affordability. And here's the sweet spot that will kind of meet the needs of affordability and program. So, you can visualize colleges on your list fitting into different areas of overlap. And you might imagine that colleges that only the students love and maybe don't fit your parents' values and or affordability factors aren't really going to be reasonable or realistic choices for you. Vice versa, some students who are putting a school on their list just for parents, that's usually not a viable application either, because the colleges can tell that you are not interested and this was someone else's idea, etc. So we're helping you now as you do research, not to become an expert on that school, but what is your fit to that university. Here's an exercise that some student did about how Oberlin, these are three schools in the United States, how Oberlin, a small liberal arts college in Ohio with a world-class musical conservatory program, overlaps with Williams, a small liberal arts college with very strong Division III sports that has a rural campus, and Michigan, the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, a Big Ten top tier research gigantic institution. What do these have in common, and why might they be a good fit for a particular student? Well, you can see here that there are overlaps between Oberlin and Williams, and that they have small class sizes, tight-knit campus, lots of funding because these both schools have good endowments, and the majority of students are residential. They're living on campus. There is overlap, oddly enough, between Oberlin and Michigan. They have merit-based scholarships available. They're both in the Midwest. They have co-op experiences, which means they value off-campus experiences to complement your academic. There are hipsters on both campuses, etc. Williams and Michigan seem to have areas of overlap. They're both strong in athletics. They have good Indian food. They have ivy-colored buildings, etc. Big school spirit. And here in the middle, they have something that isn't important to this student. The kids, they are characterized as smart. They're all cold weather places. They all have historic campuses, etc. So you can begin to convince yourself why your list makes sense in terms of your wish list. And, a student and our parents and counselors are going to be interested to see what are the areas of overlap and how does that relate to your particular values. So let's continue on with the idea of academic fit. Many institutions outside the US will give you minimum academic criteria that says you are eligible to apply for that particular course or major. And often if you don't meet those minimum requirements, you actually can't apply. Sometimes these are based on IB scores related to HL courses or an overall total. It might relate to your GPA that is given by the school based on your letter grades that then is converted into a GPA. And it may include a standardized test score, the ACT, SAT, subject tests, or an English proficiency exam. The US, of course, has academic criteria. However, you will never find a U.S. college publishing a minimum in general. And then they layer on a whole bunch of other things. You can see here, this is a grid from a survey that is done every year by our professional organization of counseling and admissions about what matters in the U.S. process. You can see that academic components are always at the top. Grades, college prep courses, i.e. course curriculum, and rigor down here, number 4, test scores, etc., all have considerable and moderate importance in the admissions process. But then there's all this other stuff, all the qualitative components, including essays, recommendations from counselors and teachers, a student's demonstrated interest, meaning how are they engaging with the college during the application process, extracurricular activities are a big deal, etc. So the U.S. system does not have these kind of floor or ceiling ideas about whether you can apply or not. Any school will gladly take your admissions money and allow you to apply. Whether you're a good academic fit is a different story. We are going to ask you to develop a list and categorize the schools into 3 groups: reach or wildcard schools, target schools, or likely schools. And this is related at the very beginning to start with these categorizations based on your academic profile, and then we go from there. For the US, it is this academic fit based on strength of curriculum, grades in core courses, standardized test scores, etc. And then you have this whole layer of selectivity, meaning how many students apply versus how many seats are available. So despite your academic fit to a particular school, they may be a wildly selective school, which means they accept a minuscule amount of applicants from the overall pool. And you know that there are schools that we all hear about that have admissions rates in the single digits. Remember, those are global admissions rates. For international students, they are even more stringent. They're even smaller. So the selectivity aspect in the US plays a big role into whether a school is in the reach, target, or likely category. On the other hand, here's a small visual about what makes you a target, a reach, or a likely candidate. The target means that your academic profile roughly falls within the middle 50%. You are roughly like the majority of kids that they admitted this past year. And you can find that kind of middle 50% data on Maya and other websites that I'll share with you. You are going to categorize a school as a reach if your academic data are in the bottom quartile, meaning 25% or fewer students had an academic profile like yours. And a school that is likely means that your academic profile is on the top quartile, and they might be choosing you for a merit scholarship. On the other hand, qualification-based admissions around the world don't follow this process at all that I just described. Basically, if you meet minimum requirements for IB scores and an HL course sequence, a GPA, and test scores in some combination with your diplomas that you receive from NATO, there's either going to be an 80% chance that you're going to get in or a 0% chance. If you do not have the minimum qualifications, there is a 0% chance of you getting in, and you should not apply. If you meet the minimum requirements, there's an 80% chance that you will get in. You can imagine that programs like medicine and other highly competitive programs do have that layer of selectivity once that you have met the minimum requirements. So the world qualifications-based university system is more straightforward about your chances of admission. Okay, the new Naviance for your group and moving forward is Maya Learning. We are learning about Maya, populating Maya, programming with Maya as we go. So thanks for your patience as we onboard this really powerful portal for you. They do have a very powerful college search function, and I'd like for you to click on this link here to watch a very short video about the features of the college search function in Naviance. So you're welcome to stop this webinar now and watch this short video and then join me back when you're finished. You can see this is a screen taken from Maya, that some of the data that they do provide about any particular school is the acceptance rate. That's definitely a US thing. So you can see that regardless of your GPA, your IB or SAT scores, a REACH school is something that Mr. Lally and I consider a school that it accepts 25% of its applications, period. So your 1 in 4 chance, regardless of your profile, means you have that it's a REACH school for everybody. We consider schools in the single digits wildcards, which means there is no way to predict a student with any academic profile. Their likelihood of getting in is quite small. So we'll talk about this category as students develop their list. We are going to develop 2 things for you. Well, actually 1. In addition to Maya and other links that I will add in a follow-up email, we have developed a working sheet of online research tools for the world. So this link here takes you to a viewable linked document. You are welcome to make a copy and save it for yourself of I don't have it here dynamic, but it not only has linked resources for the US, Canada, the UK, Germany, France, Australia, etc. You're welcome to throw on a link there. Actually, if you have a link for me to add, please share it with me. It's not an editable sheet, but it's certainly a work in progress, as you don't need to start from scratch about where to go for some of the broad questions you want to ask about your country-based research. So we're happy to pass on this pretty awesome research tool for your world university system. And then finally, what's going to be the follow-up to all this research? We know that many of you have your research underway. We're going to be doing something called the UniQuest assignment that will take us really through this semester, that will include your university parent meeting, tutorial affinity groups, getting kids together who are heading in the same direction. We're going to send via email a survey, which is going to help us collect information about your university research process. So this is a survey that data will be preserved and that Mr. Lally and I can reference throughout this research process, and you too can catalog, but it's going to help us understand by researching just 3 universities, maybe using those questions as a guiding resource, how you are developing your personal criteria for your university list as it develops. The resource that I'm going to link you to is the Student University Research Spreadsheet. This is how my mind works, is in Excel, and some of you might, this might give you a panic attack if you are organizing information in a different way. We just need you to organize your research in some way to write it down. I'll provide this as a link so you can download this as a copy and go from there. But you can see that on this first column here, I have some US-based schools and some UK school and Australia school, and to help me see how I'm building the information about what I learned. Here's the academic information that you can use, your scores, the average NITO scores that have been admitted, and Maya will provide that. What are the minimum qualifications if it's a qualifications-based country? That you can see here the UK and the Australia provide a minimum IB score. There is no such thing for US-based schools. You can see the NITO track record, acceptance rates to write those things down, middle 50% of test scores, where does this fit in kind of my category, and ranking, etc. I'm just going to scroll here to the side and show you a bit more. And then you get into kind of other personal fit things related to, let me just move this over. Expense, personal fit, what are these criteria that I am developing related to size, location, extracurriculars, proximity to friends, choice of major, internship, all of these things, ranking, fit. I've put some columns here in green for students who are applying to an arts-based program, and the columns here in peach are for those interested in medicine in the UK. Some really important data for you to write down sooner than later to see where you're going. So you can also, here on another worksheet, you can actually write in a narrative component any comments related to this. What are comments related to academic environment, the academic resources they have available, campus life, community life, what I like, what my friends like, what my counselor likes, what my mom and dad like. You can record all this information. So we are really excited to get going here on the research process and look forward to a